Hey you beautiful people, Jason here from Thomann Synthesizers, and welcome to In the Box from the Sticks in the beautiful West Country of England. I hope you're all doing well. Now we live in a glorious time for hardware, so it's easy to overlook the wealth of soft synths and effects out there. But the benefits of owning a classic synth in software are very real. They don't take up any real space, and you don't need a good electronics engineer on speed dial. Now, the mighty MemoryMoog was first launched in 1982 and discontinued in 85, just 2 years before Moog declared bankruptcy. This was a huge sounding polysynth which gave the world essentially a 6-voice mini-Moog. Add to this improved tuning, arpeggiator and 100 memories and bam, the imaginatively titled MemoryMoog was born. But think about that for a minute. In unison mode, you'd have 18 oscillators. Nuts. In its lifetime, 2 versions, the MemoryMoog and the MemoryMoog Plus, were made. The Plus introduced a lot of improvements, plus MIDI. However, in '92, Bob Moog's Big Briar was invited to help German engineers at Lyntronics make further improvements to the MemoryMoog, giving us the Lyntronics Advanced MemoryMoog, its most significant update, replacing fragile voice card components, improving reliability, further improving tuning stability, and improving rather sparse MIDI implementation. Used by everyone from Level 42, The Cars, In Excess, Jan Hammer, Herbie Hancock, and on to Air, The Orb, 808 State, Crystal Method, 9 Inch Nails. You're bound to find it gracing something that you love somewhere. If you fancy owning one today, pricing tends to be upwards of $10,000, and as they were renowned to be quite unreliable back in the day, you will most certainly need that lamp upgrade and the engineer to move in to your spare room. Or you could just buy yourself CherryAudio's MemoryMode, modelled on jazz legend Chick Corea's original, for a mere €39. Now doesn't that sound more appealing? It's a faithful recreation, and CherryAudio have also rather tastefully included some modern conveniences like MPE implementation, effects like phaser, ensemble, echo and reverb, expanded modulation routing, a white theme, and increased polyphony to 16. That's 48 oscillators. They've also given us 100 patches from the original, whose authors were such luminaries as Herb Deutsch, Wendy Carlos and Jan Hammer, as well as 500 brand new patches from an all-star cast of current sound designers. Shall we listen? I'm sure you'll agree, some great sounding presets there, plenty to get you going. But what made the MemoryMoog special? I mean, it was late to the party and everyone was already halfway through the analog polyfeast. Yamaha had even left early to go on some sort of crazy adventure about something that we'll hear about perhaps another time. I think you know what I'm saying. Anyway, the MemoryMoog had more program memory and one more oscillator per voice. So let's start there. As you can see, there's nothing here that is out of the ordinary, or so it would seem. Interestingly enough, you can add wave shapes together. So you can select more than one wave shape. So adding a saw to a triangle, adding a square to a triangle, adding all 3. Obviously, if you start to use modulation on the pulse width, you get a little bit of movement. One oscillator sounds that big. Let's add another oscillator. Let's change the octave. It's getting big, isn't it? Let's add the third oscillator. let's add some of that luscious Moog filter, shall we? Maybe I'd use the chord mode and do something a bit more ravey. So those are the oscillators, and to show you where you could go with those, here's a little preset I prepared earlier. So while we're looking at all three oscillators together, here's a nice little trick you might want to try yourselves. Take 3 of the finest triangles. Make sure that you're not mixing that with any other waveform. Take each oscillator and put it an octave apart. Now then, what happens here? A little bit of additive synthesis. So if you took that idea and ran with it, you may very well come up with something that sounds a little like this. Three oscillators per voice, 6 voices, 18 oscillators. But we're not restricted to 6 voices, are we? 8 voices might sound like this. 48 voices would sound like this. So that's why you'd want that. This being a Moog, obviously you'd want it to do a lead sound. So taking that idea of stacking, of putting the voices in unison, you can take it from the bass end all the way up to the top. To wrap this up, let's talk a little bit about the modulation. I'm not going to talk about the basic LFO stuff. You can see what that does. Let's talk about the voice modulation, which utilises oscillator 3. Make sure you got the volume of oscillator 3 down. Let's go down to a single oscillator and go to oscillator 1. Set that to 8 foot. Very plain. Okay, we can use oscillator 3, modulation amount, routed to oscillator 1. Nice. Bear in mind, you can change the wave shape. Okay, a bit of frequency modulation. Let's introduce oscillator number 2. Let's put them onto sines. Great for sound design, I think. If you use keyboard control, that changes the pitch, therefore the rate of the oscillator throughout the keyboard, so that's quite interesting too. Let's change that. Make it a little bit more usable. What a fantastic plugin, and for pocket money, figuratively speaking, maybe virtual pockets. But what about alternatives? Well, 6 instances of Arturia's Mini V might get you close, but without some of the modulation options. The Baron Poly D, but that's only 4 voices, or the rightful successor, the Moog 1. But you'll have to dig deep for that one. So, for just €39, you're knee-deep in one of the richest sounding analog polysynths ever. I had a lot of fun playing with the synth and fell down a few sonic rabbit holes whilst composing for the end jam. I was mightily surprised with the direction it took me to. Perhaps you'll see what I mean when you hear that. And I do hope you enjoy it. But what do you think? Money well spent, or do you know of a better alternative? Or perhaps you'd rather save up and get a harder alternative? Moog 1, anyone? You know the drill. Place your comments below and I look forward to responding to them. As always, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe if you don't already do so and ding that notification bell for the fab content this channel puts out. Until next time, remember, the memory of the Moog making memories a la mode is sweet as cherry audio pie.